So to get your product up on the system so that it can be scanned through the checkout, one of the items will be the barcode number. It's like the license plate on your car. So it's the number that identifies your product and a specific product. If you go to those what we call the rogue resellers online, they may work. You might get away with it if nobody checks it or verifies it. Big caveat there is it could actually cost you money in the long run. If your product gets rejected, it could cost you money in terms of losing a listing or having to resticker or possibly redo your packaging.
So our final speaker now in this section is Maria Shvedar, which she reminded me is rhymes with Vader, as in Darth Vader, which really spoke to my science fiction kind of geekiness in me. So thanks very much for that, Maria. Maria and I again have met at different events over the years. I don't know, probably conferences,
Right.
Blossom Air, and various bits and pieces. LinkedIn is a great resource, actually. I love LinkedIn for meeting up with people. So I thought I wanted to bring in a bit of technology because I'm a bit of a technology geek.
Can't get away from it these days.
I'm very fond of it, I must say. I was thinking recently, I was sitting in a car park outside a swimming pool waiting for my son to come out on a call with people all over Europe, on Teams or something. I thought, God, this is amazing. And just makes life so much easier. Okay, I know there's a lot of downsides to it, but mostly I think it's great. So that really brings us on to the final section with you, Maria, which we wanted to talk about tech and about barcoding and trends in the tech sector and things like QR codes. So tell us a bit about yourself, first of all. Tell us about GS1 Ireland.
Well, GS1, I suppose, we're kind of known as the barcode people. And what we do is standards for data, for product data. And I suppose the bit everybody is familiar with is the barcode you see, especially nowadays with self-scan. So we're all used to picking up products, going through the checkout ourselves. We're familiar with that point. But it does go, and I think we'll touch on a few of those points today for people that are starting to make that transition into retail or growing in retail in terms of their listings. It spreads throughout the whole supply chain. So it's how that connects up with all the product data that you need to provide to a retailer or to a marketplace, how that data is standardized so that the data can be shared between different players, and actually just pulling all the other speakers together in terms of what Donal was talking about in terms of sustainability. That's another whole vast area of data that's going to need to be shared with regulators, with retailers, with consumers. So again, to make it easy and efficient to share that data, it's really important that it's standardized, and that's what GS1 does.
Oh, great. So, I mean, people very often say to me that they find the whole thing a bit like a dark art almost. Like, what is a barcode? What does it do? What information does it give you? And they hear there's different types of barcodes. I'm a food retailer. I'd say I'm selling jam at a market. I don't need a barcode of my product because people are just giving me cash. But let's say I want to scale up and go into a few local shops, just a few random independent shops. Do I need a barcode then? And is there a particular one I should be getting?
Yeah, so it depends on the retail store, whether or not they're actually scanning at the point of sale. So you'll know a lot of homewares and gift shops, places like that, they may still have an old-fashioned till system where they're just keying things in. So in those instances, you won't yet need a barcode. But if you're looking at any of your mainstream grocery retailers, so you get a listing with one of the major multiples, whether it's national or local, in order to facilitate that listing process, so to get your product up on the system so that it can be scanned through the checkout, you have to fill out one of their new product listing forms, and one of the items will be the barcode number. So we really kind of call it's like the license plate on your car. So it's the number that identifies your product and a specific product. So taking Moran's Mega Jam there example, it's which jam is it, which flavor, which size, and is it the individual product or is it the case of the product? So that number is the unique identity for that specific product.
Okay.
And it helps the retailer manage stocks and ordering and invoicing and things like that.
Yeah, and they're unique codes, aren't they, Maria? Because people say to me, "Oh, sure, I can buy barcodes online. Why should I bother subscribing to GS1?"
Yeah. Well, obviously, GS1, we're not for profit organization. So we were founded back in the 1970s, back in the US, and then it came into Europe and into Ireland at the time when the supermarkets were moving away from all the little stickers on every individual product. So we were founded by industry to facilitate that, to make sure that there were unique numbers for every business and that everybody could create unique numbers. So that's why we were created, I suppose, is to facilitate that and the standards that I mentioned before. So, writing the rule book essentially on product data, how it needs to be structured and what needs to be shared. So the license fee that a producer is going to pay each year for their barcodes is what funds and manages that organization. So as I said, we're not for profit and we're created by the industry. If you go to those what we call the rogue resellers online, they may work. You might get away with it if nobody checks it or verifies it. But if you go to a service such as Verified by GS1 on the internet, you can type in that number and see was it actually registered to somebody originally? So what those sites are doing are finding old number banks that maybe have been sold on, or the companies have been closed down, and they're selling off individual numbers or groups of numbers from that. So the number isn't original to you. If it's looked up on a registry, it won't be traced back to you, and it won't be identifiable as your company and your product. So the big caveat there is it could actually cost you money in the long run. If your product gets rejected, it could cost you money in terms of losing a listing or having to resticker or possibly redo your packaging. So it's a basic license is only €85 for 10 numbers. So it's a really low cost entry to get you started.
That's great. That cost has come down, I think, actually, in the last couple of years,
Yeah,
I think.
it has. Yeah.
So once you do get listed, all the data requirements, you have to do your barcode and everything, and you have to have all your HACCP and all the whole rigmarole of stuff. But it comes back to that technology side of things, central billing. People seem to go, they think central billing is, the ultimate thing they want to get to, which creates its own difficulties though. And what that means is rather than having to invoice every individual store, you invoice centrally to the brands, so into Musgraves or into Tesco, whatever it happens to be, rather than all the individual stores. So that brings its own complications. And there's a thing called EDI people are asked to do. And they tell you this when you talk to the retailers, they say, use EDI as if everybody is born
He
knowing.
knows exactly what it is. Yeah.
Guy thinking, oh, what the hell is that? So tell us, what the
Yeah.
hell is EDI, Maria?
Basically, what it is electronic ordering and invoicing. And again, it goes away from the old days where the people would ring up and order by phone or send in faxes and things like that. And really, what it's doing is just putting the product and the order straight into the retailer system without somebody having to rekey it. So it's all part of their, I suppose, digitized inventory management system. So as they know they're selling 10 or 20 of a product, that's telling the system, okay, we've sold 10 or 20, we need to start replenishing our stocks, and it will create the reorder. Nowadays, that's all completely automated. So for smaller producers, most of the big retailers have put portals in place. So again, many years ago, you would have had to employ somebody to do a full EDI system to set it up. And there was a thing, what we call an EDI, what we call a mailbox. So you would still get a number. It's basically like an email address. So you get a number from GS1 called a GLN, or global location number, which is your unique mailbox number that all your messaging is going to go to and from. But nowadays, as I said, a lot of the retailers have put portals in place. So a small producer may not have to get an EDI system. They just it's like a website. You just log on to the portal, you'll download your order, and you can upload your invoice. So the retailer is able to continue on.
Very well, people actually, they're finding it. I think the thought of it is worse than the actual practical using of it.
Yeah. And again, like with technology, everything keeps changing. So there are new systems coming into play that will integrate with other ERP systems, accountancy packages, even into Excel. So you might find in the next few years, even the portals, you don't even manually have to go into the portal. There'll be an easier way to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. And now one of the things, actually, one of the chapters of the book is about routes to market and the different ways that you can get your product from your factory or from your production or from your kitchen, whatever it happens to be, into the retailers, out to consumers. And that could be direct or indirect selling. But selling online obviously has grown hugely. So let's say in 2020, I decided to make a list of Irish producers who were selling online with an proper online shop, not just here's my website and a phone number, but actually an e-commerce site. And I found 40. I remember sitting down, I think it was around the 16th of March, and I sat down and I found 40. Now I had nothing else to do, right? Because everything was shut down. And I said I'd set up a kind of a system or a website actually to list all of the producers that had websites. And of course, that was great at the same time because the trading online voucher from the local enterprise offices came in and they were given 90% that year. It was marvelous. And I ended up with nearly 300. Okay. So what's happened is people have moved very much online, but there are challenges with that as well. So you can be selling online through an e-commerce site and you have to have your product labeled as if it was in a shop, but you can also sell, of course, through Amazon and through loads of other online sellers. And I have loads of those listed in the book as well. But there are some considerations, say with Amazon and Google Shopping. You have something called a GTIN. What's that?
Yeah, so global trade item number. So that's just the official term for the number that's actually printed under the barcode. Because obviously the barcode symbol itself you only need for physical scanning, to get you through the checkout. But the number part is what actually identifies the product. So if you're trading in a digital world, so you're listing on Google Shopping, you're listing on Amazon, it's the number part that they need for their catalogs and their inventory management. But also just if a website is created with code. So there are codes in the background of websites where you can put the GTIN, the global trade item number, or the barcode number as well. And that helps search engines find the products and where they are, what websites are listing them. So it's much easier for a Google search engine to understand a code and look up that product than to just look for something that's a group of English, words in the English language and to try and match up with pages. So again, That's in the last couple of years, as you said there, the world of online has really grown based on the fact that product data is digitized as well.
Okay. We have a question here, Maria, actually from
Okay.
Gronegil Market from the Sligo Wellness Shop. It's an organic shop, actually. They sell a lot of supplements, but also lovely organic food. And Gronegil's question is, so she's noticed lots of barcode changes on products. Do you know what's the purpose of that? It becomes a real pain at the EPOS, which is the electronic point of sale for those of you who are uninitiated.
Well, there's a couple of things. So some of it could be that as people's product ranges expand, they need to allocate new numbers. Historically, people might have, say, had sunglasses and they put one barcode on them, regardless of what the style of sunglasses were. So it's only now, as people are getting much more adept at, say, inventory management and being more specific, that they realize, well, actually, I have 6 styles of sunglasses, so I really need 6 barcode numbers. So that obviously goes into, every other product range. So any new products, new variants, new product pack sizes, because now products last indefinitely and digital content lasts forever. So nowadays, once a product is allocated, number is allocated to a product, that's the identity for that product forever. So if somebody decides to change their pack from 300 grams down to 250, it needs a new barcode because it affects how the product is managed. So that's the main reason, is just for new variations, changes in pack size, regulatory changes and things like that, new languages on pack, anything like that that affects how the product is managed through the supply chain will require a new barcode number.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Maria. So
So
what's the future? Talked about QR codes. We briefly mentioned them earlier on. So do you think we're going to see barcodes disappear and it'll be all QR codes in future?
the global aim is that by 2027, that all retail systems will be capable of scanning QR codes. Now, there will be a transition phase. It won't be mandatory, but we are hopeful that most producers, and that's across all industry sectors now, across consumer goods, will migrate the old EAN barcode, which is just the traditional little lines and spaces that we're used to seeing, to QR codes, but it's a slightly different QR code. And again, it comes back to meeting regulatory requirements, meeting sustainability challenges, because this new barcode is a combination of both the GTIN, the number to get it through the checkout, but a URL as well. So it enables you as a producer, say, to connect directly with your consumer, because if they scan that QR code, it essentially, with a bit of technology in the background, can bring that consumer to lots of different places. So it could be, straight, you can find a button for recipes. It could be nutritional information, your sustainability credentials, what you're doing. If it was a can or a bottle, it might be about the types of plastic as it's in it, whether it's recyclable and where to recycle it. Or, where is this product available for sale? Where's my list of retailers? So it's opening a whole new world of possibilities for brands to actually have that direct connection with the end consumer through the use of a QR code.
Yeah, I think it could be great. I mean, part of me feels that you could be slowing people down getting through the supermarket if they're all standing there scanning their QR codes and then having a read of an essay. But I guess a lot of it could be stuff they're going to read at home. One of the things I think that would be really interesting would be for things like allergen labeling, stuff people need to know immediately. That's a case of makes a decision about whether they buy it or not buy it. We've one more question here for you, Maria. Can we already get the new QR code for a new product? Are they available now if people wanted to put on a QR?
Yes. Yes, it is literally just launching. There's a big global announcement happening next Wednesday, the 26th, and that'll really be the start of it. I personally will actually be contacting members and looking for a group of people to pilot, and we'll set up the infrastructure, work with them to get everything set up end to end. We have one like Kinsale Mead, actually. She was our first kind of pioneer in this area with a couple of her. She was doing some label changes. Kate Dempsey was doing some label changes herself back at the end of last year, and she has put a QR code on that links to specific pages. So yes, we are actually actively looking for people to come to us and wish to pilot it. And you'll be able to do the two together. Obviously, you'll keep your normal EAN on the product pack for the time being, but it gives you a chance to kind of play around with this technology and see what you can do with it.
So your barcode then will be scannable at the till and bring you to all of your information, same QR code. That's really great.
Yeah.
Okay, Maria, last piece of advice from you for especially early stage producers and maybe even pre-startup.
I suppose, yeah, don't be overwhelmed. Just start simple. We have all the help desk support. We have online tools. Like we used to have to teach people how to allocate barcodes manually and calculate check digits. All those days are gone. Everything is just done online. We've a super help desk support team. So, right as Maureen's we've been saying, just ring us and ask for help. And even if we don't, we get asked all sorts of questions that have nothing to do with GS1 and barcodes, and we'll always help and try and point people in the right direction. So yeah, don't be overwhelmed. Just pick up the phone. We'll talk you through it, and we'll make sure you're retail ready and on the shelf.
Yeah, I have one more final question. We've got Anne Brooks. Anne is obviously in the UK, and it's great to have you. Thanks very much, Anne. asking, is that pilot available in the UK through GS over there, or is it just Ireland?
GS1 UK are already well ahead of us. Yes, it's actively up and running. So contact GS1 UK and they'll get you set up.
That's brilliant. Listen, Maria, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate that.
Congratulations, Una, again.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks a million.